We're going to talk about another special triangle today, a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Before I start, I want to explain a couple of things. I'm using a stylus, not a pen, and I can't see what I'm writing except to look at my computer screen, and I'm not very practiced at that. So my handwriting is pretty shaky and my drawings are worse than usual. Just keep that in mind and we'll do our best here. Alright, 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Looks like this. Let me get the right color here before we start. "30, 60, 90 degree triangle." Use your imagination. We'll have one angle, that is right angle. As always, we have one angle, that is 60 degrees, and one angle, that is 30 degrees. And we have what's called a short side. We're going to call that SS. And a long side, I'm going to call that LS. And as always, this longest side is opposite the 90 degree angle, and that is called the hypotenuse. So short side or short leg, long side or long leg, and then the hypotenuse. Now, there's some properties about a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle that is going to make figuring out how long the sides are a little bit easier than using Pythagorean's theorem. So, what you need to know is that if we have a short side, then the hypotenuse, we're going to call it H, is always in a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle 2 times the short side. And the long leg, we'll just call it L, is always equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Now I remember the square root of 3 because this is 30, which is divisible by 3. This is 60, which is divisible by 3, and degrees, and this is 90, which is divisible by 3. So that's the way that I remember S times the square root of 3 equals the long leg. So what do you use this for? Well, let's start with an easy example. Let's say I have a triangle, and again I'm apologizing for the shape my triangles are in. Hopefully I'll get better at this as I practice. If this is 2, then this is 2 times 2, and this is 2 times the square root of 3. Another example. If this is 3 square root of 3, then this side is 2 times 3 square root of 3, which equals 6 square root of 3. And the long leg, I'm going to work out over here. L equals to the short leg times the square root of 3. If the short leg is 3 square root of 3, and we multiply that by the square root of 3, then we get 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. So those are the easier examples. Now we need to work on what if the hypotenuse is the information that's given to you. Let's say that the hypotenuse is equal to 5 square root of 5. Then what would the short leg be? Well, remember, hypotenuse equals the short side times 2s. So that means that I could write 5 square root of 5 is equal to 2 times s, and we need to get s by itself. So what do we do to get s by itself? We divide by 2, and what you do to one side, you do to the other. And so our answer is going to simply be 5 square root of 5 over 2 equals the short side. And since we can't reduce this fraction, then we're finished. Let me make my s a little bit curvier so that you can see that that is not 5. That's one of the problems with using s, is that sometimes it looks like 5. Okay, so this is 5 square root of 5 here. Now how about finding the long leg? You have to find the short leg first when they give you the hypotenuse. But remember that the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So what we do here is we write down what we know, which is that the short side is 5 square root of 5 over 2, and we're going to multiply that by the square root of 3. And that gives us 5 square root of 15 over 2. And I cannot reduce this fraction at all. This radical cannot be simplified at all. So that's my final answer. Let's look at one more example. And that is, what if they give you the long leg? Now remember, you'll know that it's the long leg because the long leg is going to be opposite the 60-degree angle. So this is 60 degrees, then this is the long leg, and down here is the short leg, and this is the hypotenuse. Okay, what if the long leg is equal to 5? How do we find out what s is and then h is? We're going to need to find out what s is before we can find out what h is. Remember that the long leg equals s times the square root of 3. So we start substituting. We know that 5 equals s times the square root of 3. We need to get s by itself here, so we're going to have to multiply or divide, both sides by the square root of 3. So what happens is we get that s is equal to 5 over the square root of 3. Now you know that we're not allowed to have a radical in the denominator of a fraction, so we have to multiply both sides by the square root of 3, top and bottom, and so we get 5 square root of 3 over 3. Our fraction can't be divided, and so we have our final answer. So what is the hypotenuse going to equal? Let's see if I have enough room. Remember, hypotenuse is 2 times s, which is 5 square root of 3 over 3. So our final answer is going to be 10 square root of 3 over 3.